I started the project in the yard about Memorial Day. It was in late May, and one of the first things I did, just kind of getting ready for the wedding time of Nels and Kristen, that would be in July, is I made an assessment of the high stump, and for a couple years, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I had hoped that I'd be able to carve them, have a kind of a sculpture. I envisioned owl. I really didn't want to do the totem thing that a lot of people thought I should. But I just found it wasn't in me. I didn't have that skill or that artistic flair. But what I could do is use a chainsaw to good effect. And so what I did is I cut holes in the high stump. Two on the let's call it northerly and southerly exposure, and one on the eastern and western. Nothing's actually true cardinal here. It's all sort of cattywampus. But then after cutting in there and using a wedge and maul to get the pieces out, and it was just rotten enough after 5 years that I was able to get those pieces out of there. Then I glued portions of those pieces over part of the openings so that there was something to hold. What I put in there was soil, a mixture of soil and vermiculite and some of that planting material that made of peat. And then, as you can see, I planted petunias and some other plants that I actually don't know what they are, but they're pretty. And they started as just plant seedlings, probably no bigger than so each, but you know, with a little bit of watering and some miracle grow, they really have become a beautiful thing. So that was the first thing of the project. The next thing that I did is to work on the patio. For some time, my wife and I knew that we needed to fix the patio, that it was not to fix the patio, but to fix the walkway that was there. It was a cement structure that was kind of straight from here. You can see a tongue of it here, and it went up, made a curve to the porch, and it was sunken in 2 places. It was a tripping hazard in 3, actually. So there was a trip hazard right here at the driveway. There was a trip hazard kind of midway approaching the step. And then the step itself had sunk a full 5 inches. And so we were quite concerned. We thought maybe we'd even have older people try to get up into our porch and entry and fall backwards. So we knew that that needed to change. And so with the help of a neighbor up the street and a diamond saw, I cut the old walkway into several pieces, and he with his skid loader picked them up just as easy as pie and put them into his 2-ton trailer. That portion was done in about 40 minutes. So then began the process for me to begin excavating the rest of what you see there. That's a paver patio, individual blocks that are about the size shape of brick. And I took out between 6 and 8 inches of topsoil and subsoil, and I kept those separate. I kept the topsoil separate. I had it piled out here on the driveway on top of a tarp so that I could put it down. But with the subsoil, then, that was a portion of this raised bed that we were looking at originally and didn't really explain that at that time. So that raised bed used some of that soil, and it comes across here. It is you know, a lovely way to use that soil. And then once I had the thing established, then I put topsoil on. Well, you know, what I've got here, then the dog is being lovely here, that is eggplant. And then we have green bell pepper, and then pretty flowers, just to show off things. And I saved all of the bulbs that had been out in that general area and replanted them so that in the springtime we'll have lots of flowers coming up there. So that was part of then the process of disposing of all of the 6 to 8 inches of soil and subsoil. So then with that excavation complete, our son Nels came back into town. It was about then that I was able to begin putting in what they call around here crusher run, and that's actually 1/2 inch minus gravels, and compacted that with Nels's help, and then that was 4 inches of that, and then 2 inches of sand, and we compacted that. It was on top of that then that he and I laid the brick. It's in a basket weave pattern. That means 2 this way, 2 that way, and alternating like that. And well, we left room, obviously, for the tree, and we made kind of a sculpted, rounded edge. That's where we needed the help of a friend. One of our friends was able to lend us his wet saw, and so with that I was able to cut all of the individual pieces that make up a straight edge. A third friend, and that was the final then, was a friend of ours who's a missionary, who was home on sabbatical, and he relayed the step, that sunken step. And so Nelson and I had laid a foundation for that seemed quite high, but then by the time we added back in the gravels, added back in the sand and the brick, it's the height that maybe you can see through the chair there, but it is an even step. So that's been our project, and we got it completed about 2 weeks before the wedding, and then we had a lovely gathering of friends here during that time.